Hey, welcome to your favorite cooking channel. To you're learning one of Ghana's most popular drinks. Yes, a refreshing, healthy drink. And this COVID has shown us to eat more of these. And yeah, so we're going to do Sobolo, Bissab. Yes, Ghana's special red wine. So yeah, we're going to do Sobolo. I'm going to do it in three different ways. Now, you could do a cold press Sobolo, you could do your warm, and you could boil it. Now, you can spice the sobolo to make it more healthy. I used the black pepper, I used the Selim, I used some cloves, ginger, lemon, and pineapple. So, and of course, the sobolo leaves, which comes in different forms and texture. You have the very smooth, you have the very big. Yes, and I added some Prekese. So the first type I did was a cold press, which I just did with my Prekese and then the leaves. Now the next I did was the hot, which I just added in a bit of everything, but I didn't add in the fresh pineapple. So the third, which I was boiling, that's where the pineapple skin went in there together with it. Now the reality is that if you're doing the cold, if you're doing the warm, or if you're boiling, you're going to get pretty much the same result, but then it's going to vary just a little. So the first thing is that for your cold press, where you're going to use just normal tap water and let it sit for a longer time, it's going to take a bit of time for it, all the color and all the taste and things to come out. But the taste is always beautiful. It just takes a longer time to form. So you can't really do this quick, like the day you need it. No, you need to do it earlier. And of course, I almost forgot to add in the cake aside the local small pepper. You could also use in your garlic. So sorry, you could also use in your ginger. The ginger you can decide to dice it smaller. You can decide to crush it. You can decide to blend it. And yes, pineapple. So I used the back of the pineapple, which allowed it to overly ripe. Yes, before I used it. So that makes it that sweet something, and it goes in there. So however you want to spice your sobolo is up to you. Personally, I like to use a lot of natural stuff. If you realize on my channel, I'm not using spices like already made spices. I use a bit more of the local natural spices because that is my preference. I would prefer you use this to using the squash and then the already made juices, which has a lot of sugar, color, and flavor. So yes, and you can cut your pineapple and put it alongside because you're going to use this for your toppings. And I added in some lemon. Lemon also gives it some beautiful taste, but I don't really like the zest inside. You see, the zest, the oily part, when you cook it too much in there, it gives it some interesting taste. Sometimes the kids don't really go in for. So I just like to peel the skin off. Then I use the juice. That's my most important part for me. And I said you could do any mix with the spices you want. If you don't like the hwentia, don't add it in. If you don't like something, just don't add it in. But the most basic ingredient in there is your hibiscus leaves. Yes. And the rest is all up to you as to what you'd want in there for the spicing. So for me, I like more fruit going in there. Now, this is one thing you'd want to avoid: overly loading your pan. It's going to boil over. So for your sobolo, make sure that whenever you're cooking it, you're having a bigger pan to work with. It's always necessary. So the third option also was about boiling your sobolo. Yes, once it comes to boil, you just put it off, let it sit for a while so that the rest of the leaves in there, it cools with it and picks up all the color. Yes. Now, like I was saying, when it's done, you just want to sieve it and voila. You could serve it like that, or you could add in your sugar and serve. Now, the should I say the waste, you could decide to re-boil this to get all the rest of the color out. But then for me, I realized once you cook it well and you let it sit for a while, it's going to drain as much from it as possible. So when you're done and you wash it with some warm water, it comes off easily. and then you can serve this with or without it. So like I was saying, the cold press takes longer, but you're going to also get sobolo, and the taste is also nicer. The only thing is you need to be careful the cold press, the type of ingredients you put in, because it's not going to, there's no heat applied to it. It's like everything is very fresh. So if you don't handle it well, it could ferment. Yes. So for the cold press, you need to be sure that something like pineapple is not going in, fresh pineapple, or it's going to ferment. Your fresh fruit, you need to limit it. If you're going to do a cold press, the best you could use for fruit in there should be lemon. And lemon in any juice, lemon in any drink, it adds extra taste. It adds extra, kick to the whole thing. And for the warm press, it takes shorter time. So if instead of boiling, you could also decide to just use the warm water, which you'd get the same result. You get the color and everything beautifully done. Just be careful about what you're doing it in. You get a nice container with a lid, and voila, you are there. So it's not compulsory you boil your sobolo. You could just do the warm water and use it as well, and you get the same result. That's the reality. You just needed to sit for a while, and there you'd go. So for me, what I've realized is the one you boil, you could add in a lot of it. So the fresh fruit, yes, like your pineapple skin, yes, because it needs to cook properly. Yes, and then for the one you just use the hot water to steam. What you could also add in to add more taste is the lemongrass, because you don't need to really boil lemongrass for too long. And that one too, it takes a shorter time than the cold press. But I think ideally, if you're going to use it for a longer time, if it's going to sit for a longer time, the brewed is better, because the cold press, once you pour it out, you need to drink it a bit faster or earlier, because the shelf life is shorter than the one which is brewed. The one which is brewed, there are less active, so I say less active ingredients, yes, but then it's brewed, so it's a bit processed, so it takes a bit longer to ferment, yes, than the one which is cold press. And the one which is partly done with the hot water, as a honey hole, it's is in the middle in there. So it depends on you. Give it a try, whichever works for you. But if you're going to use it for a longer period, I'd always go and boil it up. And if you're going to use fruit in there, go and boil it up so that it keeps longer and doesn't get fermented or expired early. But if you want to do it natural, you want to get a natural flavor, the natural kick, and you're going to use it within a shorter period of time, and you need your 3 points early, do the cold press. If you are stuck in between the two, sweetheart, just go for the middle option. Preheat your water and pre-soak it. That is all. You're done. So serve your sobolo nicely with some fruit in there, add some color in there. Yeah, just be careful when you're doing sobolo, because the color can stain your burner, it can stain everything up. So be careful when you're handling it as well. So yeah, give this recipe a try and let's see how it goes. Use your spice of your choice. Yes, I'd prefer you do this at home than to buy it, because these days those they sell outside, they add, I don't want to spoil people's business, but then there are lots of adulterations in there. People add a lot of things to preserve it. People add a lot of things to make it overly sweet and sugary. So it sometimes defeats the purpose of it being a healthy drink option. So yeah, do this at home for yourself, and yay, the whole family can drink some, including your babies. Don't leave them out. Yes, so try this and give me your feedback on it. Lots of love from my team and I. Mwah.